Welcome to another Quantum Conversation. I'm Loren Gailey, and I'm here with my next guest, who is here to talk about off-planet life and her own work with the grids on our beautiful planet. We are in Boulder, Colorado, with Donna Anderson. Hi, Donna.
Hi. Hi,
Nice
Loren.
to meet you here.
Nice to meet you too.
We want to hear all about your story. We know that this is a story about ET contact. We're going to show a little video of that as well, of the ship, Soltec. We're going to hear that story. But first, share with us your awakening story.
When I really awakened, I was feeling very depressed about the Vietnam War. I'd been reading Edgar Cayce when I was younger, and then Alice Bailey and Dwell Cool and Zen Things when I was in high school. And I was just so depressed about this planet and really did not want to stay here. I just wanted to be in another realm. And one Sunday I was reading some Unity literature my mother had, and I went upstairs to get ready for a meeting at church, and I'm pulling out clothes from the drawer. I'm standing in front of this big mirror. I turn on the radio, and Let It Be is playing by the Beatles, and all of a sudden I'm just surrounded in this big light, like I can't even see the room anymore. There's just light all around me and through me, and I hear this voice say, you're a child of God, and all you can do is my will. And it was very profound, just the whole experience. So it literally woke me up and let me know that I do have a purpose on this planet, and it's okay, you know, stay here. It took my depression away, and I wasn't so self-focused with my own concerns about the planet. I was just more way outerly focused, and you know, just praying to see how I could help every day or help people around me even more than before, you know, and that led to helping a lot of my friends in college that were on drugs and things, and they'd always like come to me, you know, for help if they were on a bad acid trip or something, whatever. But anyway, I ended up going into healing work and trained in polarity therapy, then into Reiki, and then learned how to work with the aura, and then I was aware that the masters were working with me and through me with people, and so I would always call them in, and ended up getting my BA in psychology to help people to learn more about how to help people that were crying and releasing emotional things. So that was in Georgia, a transpersonal humanistic program that was very far out for that. That was like the end of the 70s. So let's see. So to evolve into how this happened meeting Soltec, I had moved to Arizona by guidance. I heard a voice one day in meditation tell me, you'll be in Phoenix by December. That was 1983. A few months after the meditation was December, and I'm thinking, how am I going to get down there? I was in Oregon, didn't really have any plans, but I ended up down there because the voice was so strong. Ended up there, and then I was on the airplane. I had gone over to California to see a friend, and I'd found a book that kind of, you know, the stories about how a book falls out. It's like it jumped out at me on the shelf, and it was called UFOs, Keys to Human Destiny. And I'm trying to remember who even wrote it. Anyway, it was all these different people's experiences with different space beings, and the chapter on Soltec just really, I knew this being, and it talked about how he helps the planet with new science, new technologies coming in and adding more love and wisdom, and he works with balancing the plates of the earth, you know, with the beams they send in from the ships, and very much into geomagnetics and all that kind of thing. And so I just knew I knew him, and then what happens is my friend was requested to do an astrology chart for me. She became my friend. I didn't know her, but we talked on the phone because somebody that I knew wanted her to do my chart, and she was asking my permission. And so I tell her, well, why don't we do an exchange? I'll do a healing on you if you want to come over to my house. So she gets to the door, and she's a channel for the Ascended Masters, and she hands me this letter that's from Solten. And she said, I don't know who this one is. I never even heard of him, because she usually does Kutumi and Dwalkul and Saint Germain. And I said, well, that's Soltec. And oh my God, it was so exciting. Both of us were just, just amazed at this. And so then we go into the room. I'm going to do a healing on her, and the whole room is just filled up with gold light. So I know it's Soltec. And when I get to working on her kidneys, excuse me, he starts channeling the energy through into her kidneys like psychic surgery, like needles are coming in. And I was feeling it like psychic surgery. And it did really help her kidneys. And after this, she did a laying on of hands on my head, and she said, they're making you a better transmitter and receiver. And I could feel all this energy coming in. Turned out I had to lay down for 5 hours that afternoon. I didn't know how long it would be, but I heard this voice in my head. It was Soltec, and he's saying, you're going to feel like you're going crazy, but we're just making molecular changes in your brain and your system so that you'll be, a better instrument of service. And so I just let it roll, and it got ecstatic after a while, very blissful. And then after that, I really did get more in tune, like with earth changes with Mother Earth, and I'd know when earthquakes were going to happen. And then eventually I would be led over to California before the major earthquakes, like the San Francisco one. Ended up working with that. We ended up working with that to help alleviate that, so it wasn't as strong as it would have been. The one in '87, I think that was, in the fall up in San Francisco and that area. So that's another story how that all happened. But I would get led over there at different times to help modulate and be working with them to literally calm things down. So, and that's ongoing. That keeps going on. And sometimes I don't have to be there in the physical, but they've had me over there in the physical many times to work with this. And let's see. And then, okay, I didn't even go into about 2 weeks after this happened with my friend Tony, the activation. I knew I was going to see a spaceship that night. I was going out camping to Payson with a friend, and as we're halfway between Phoenix and Payson, it's around, I remember seeing a little sign for Sunflower. There's not even a town there anymore. It burned down, I heard, before. But my friend and I both see these two red lights coming towards the car, and I know that's the ship, but I'm thinking, why does it have two red lights? Like, I wasn't manufacturing this, I don't know why it needed two red lights. But anyway, it gets closer, and it's like a silvery disc. And it's very, it looks not pure hard metal. It looks like a light metal. It has a lot of light coming off of it. And it has a lavender hue all around it, and it's humongous. And it gets so humongous, it's like we don't even see the road anymore. And it's like we're just with the ship. And it has all these, it covers up the whole sky, and it has all these like tubes of light going down into the earth. I mean, like, I don't know if it was hundreds or thousands. This thing was humongous. So all these like diamond white, lights are going into the earth, and the lavender hue, we were surrounded in that, and then the sound like that, and in my brain I heard, you're not going crazy, we are always watching over you. I mean, they said always. So, and it was after that that I remember about a month later or so, I knew there was going to be I just knew it, a big earthquake, and there was. I think that one was in Chile. And then this whole progression of events kept happening where I was aware they were, I was working with them to help be an earth anchor, as we can be, to help keep things in balance here, and they can send the rays through us. We're like acupuncture needles on the earth, so to speak. So that's why it's so important for all of us to hold the good energy, the good light, the good thoughts, good emotions, to help keep the planet on a higher vibration. So we're working with them, and they don't want us worshiping them. They honor us for being on the earth and being like the earth crew. They've made that very clear. And some of us obviously are up on the ships at the same time that we're here. We're holding bodies here, but multidimensionally we're existing at many levels, and some of us are up there working too, and I've had visions of what I'm doing up there and sending rays out all over the place between different planets and things. So this is our physical body down here that we decided to come in for lessons and service at this level. I know I'm with them all the time because, I mean, I've seen myself up on the ships there working in, you might say, the healing room that's sending out balancing energy and different energies between different systems and planets. And so I know I'm up there right now while I'm talking to you right now, you know, so I'm with them all the time. And he has shown me that he's a very, very big force field, way more than a person. But when that energy comes down to this level, like it can come down and appear to be a person, that's how they've taken photographs of him, and he usually has a similar look. Each of the photographs are a bit different that I've seen, or artists' renditions, but the one in that book I felt was the closest. He looked kind of like a Clark Gable look, you know. That was how I know him as far as when he comes into form. Now this was really interesting what happened. About a year after I got to know him, I was in a relationship with a man. We were together 4 years in Sedona, and I recognized him as a space being when I first saw him. And then we sat down and we're talking, and he's saying things that I know he's a space being, but he doesn't quite know it. And I started talking to him about channeling and different things that were a little far out to him. And but then he ended up channeling Soltec after a while. First, I think it was Archangel Michael, and then he started channeling Soltec, and Soltec actually used his body. He came inside of my friend and spoke through him to me because he had to tell me some things about my life and what we were here to do, and he had to make it really real. And my friend's eyes were blue, actually, and when Soltec came in him and talked to me a couple of times, his eyes that were so blue turned brown, like Soltec's eyes appear when he comes in, literally brown. I knew it was Soltec, and he told me things and advised me on certain things that turned out to be totally true. It's like I had to see the ship, he had to bring that to me, and he had to do this so that I'd know that I wasn't going crazy, that my life was going to be a bit unusual with all the things that would be happening later, all the traveling and all the things I was asked to do. And to know it's really real, because your earth self can think, man, this is a little far out here, and am I really supposed to be doing all this, you know? So he said that he does not, he said he doesn't do this, he doesn't come into people's bodies like that, but he had to do it because of what I'm here to do and what he had to tell me. So it's not a typical thing he does. It's more telepathic, and I will say I've read some channelings by him that I don't think are that totally accurate, which can happen with channeling. It's so tricky, the filter it's coming through and where they're at. So, and it's not like he's talking to me all the time. I'll just get telepathic messages at certain times when I need them. And in the beginning, he would kind of advise me on my life, but then he backed off because there were certain things I had to know. Like I had to go into real estate for a while in Sedona where I was living, and he suggested that, which I would have never imagined. There were so many realtors then. I thought, this is nuts, and they were having a hard time making a living. But he advised me to do it. I did it, and it turned out I was able to make a good enough living, and it gave me the freedom to go to California when I needed to do the earthquake work and whatever else they had me doing over there. So then he kind of backed off. He wasn't telling me as many things. It's like, where are you? But then I realized he wanted me to be tuning in and getting my own, you know, answers. And it's like they'll babysit you for a little bit, but then, you know, sometimes the guides have to back off and let us get our own connection. So, and that's always a bit interesting how that works, because sometimes we want to know things. Like even still, sometimes I wonder, where's the best place for me to live now? Like that's my big question now, and I think it's kind of my choice. But I also like to get little indicators or answers. Like sometimes they would want me places and I would know I had to go there. Now it's kind of more in the open, and I'd like somebody to just tell me, this would be best for you. But the answer isn't quite here yet, you know? And that can be for reasons too, because maybe you'll end up doing other things in between that you're meant to do anyway. I've got to say, Soltec started channeling through me one day a book, which I only got 13 pages on, and then my life got so diverted, but he was going to give me a whole chapter on this very interesting subject about like where we all come from and how we got here, which I'd love to be able to just have time in my life to focus in and really get some more precise answers on that. I know there are answers about that, and what I do understand and know at this point is that many of us have come here on this planet who have spent time in many other places, as we know, and like sometimes we're told we're from this place or that place, and we may have a root place, but then we can spend time at other places too out there. And I think it's important for each person to tune in and get their own answer instead of just listening to somebody else that tells you this. I will mention about Sai Baba. I loved it when I saw in a book, it was called Sai Baba, Man of Miracles by Howard Murfitt. And he says in there that, he said, you should be happy to be on this earth. He said, so many souls are knocking to get into this planet, even, you know, now. And he said the lessons here are just so diversified. The lessons we have here, we cannot get anywhere else. So it's a very popular place to be, so we need to be grateful rather than some of the feelings we have, which are natural to have with the way the planet is. But, like I relate to being from Andromeda, and I know I've been through Arcturus and Venus and other places too. A group of us came here from Venus actually to help this planet when it was spiraling down, Sanat Kumara, and the Kumaras came. And and that's why a lot of us recognize each other as soon as we meet. I feel like you have that energy too, actually.
Yes.
Yes.
Sanat Kumara.
Yes.
And DK.
Yes, good, DK. Yes, and Sanat Kumara has been over a lot of the work that I've been led to do, which has been about bringing the 0 point back to the planet, the love, the unified field, and changing the code of duality. So as long as there is created form, there will be duality in the sense of creation comes from the void, and then it has to multiply into multiplicity, different vibrations to manifest. But the old code of duality, he's been actually working with me through the portals and the different places he has sent me to bring in, to like cancel the old code of duality of the conflict and all that. And back in 9999 we did a major activation for the planet, which was actually here in Colorado, southwest of Denver, where I was led to do that at a special place. And that was back 9999, and that was a total setup because I was living in North Carolina at that point and was having a strong message that I had to come back to Colorado and back to Sedona, which I didn't want to do. I loved my little nature place I was living in North Carolina. But it got so loud, I listened, jumped in the car, packed in 2 hours, jump in the car at 6 p.m., make it to New Mexico like really fast, didn't even stay in a hotel, just rested a couple times. And then the things that progressed from there by ending up in Sedona, and the man I met there who had a special, very special crystal that when he heard about this place in Colorado, he wanted to bring it up here on 9999. He said, we've got to go up there, and I knew we did. So we go up there, and before that happened, he took me out to meet the Atlantean crystal that Ray Brown was found, you know, out in Atlantis in the temple. There was a very special crystal that he brought out from there that I had already heard about, never dreamed I'd get to meet, but my friend calls me up and he says, before we go to Colorado to do this work for the planet, I have to take you to meet the Atlantean crystal. And I was so happy, and when I get there, it was out in Cornville at that point, between Sedona and Cottonwood. Mother Mary came in the crystal in light. It was her. She gave me the message to go complete the grid in Florida after we did Colorado. So anyway, back to I'm not sure what question we started with there, but anyway, it's all these events just unfold, which make me know that this is real. It's not me that could even design all this, you know. Thank God. Otherwise, I would think I'm crazy doing all this traveling and everything. But these things are really real. It's just amazing. And then these activations occur, shifts happen on the planet. Oh yeah, what Sanat Kumara told me in '99 when we were sitting with the one big crystal we took up there, he said, this is about canceling the code of duality on the planet and bringing in the unified field. And so, but he said, don't worry, it will take a while, because obviously, as we all know, it takes a while for the spiritual energy to totally incorporate into all of the physical reality. So, I know a lot of us are getting impatient, like when is the changeover going to really happen? We want it now. I do too, believe me. So, and then there was another, Sanat Kumara came through in '91 at another location in Colorado where I was shown on the inner that we were working with a time wheel. He showed me when I was moved up to Durango, he showed me, you're working with a time wheel and it's inside of a mountain, and he said when you see the mountain, you'll know which one it is, and he showed me it was shaped like a cone. So this mountain turned out to be north of Durango. When I saw it, I knew that was it. And I took Tony up there with me, the same one that did the Soltec activation with me, that came for the healing. She came up to visit, and I took her out to the field by this mountain. And Sanat Kumara comes through, and he says that time wheel you're tuning in with Donna is accurate. And he said the countdown is now beginning. This is back in, I think it was like April or June, right in there of 90 or 91 actually. Don't remember precisely the year. But he said the countdown is now beginning, and everything is accelerating tremendously on the planet for the evolution of the planet. And he showed me all these ley lines spinning out from that time wheel all around the planet, you know, going all over and just bringing everything to a higher level, etherically and energetically on the planet. And he counted down to zero, and he talked about when we come to 0 point, and then those of us that were here, you know, holding our physical bodies to help bring this energy to the planet, when we hit 0 point, he said you'll be able to come and go, like poof in and out, and you know, because that job's done. Then we can just go in and out interdimensionally. So he led me back to the same mountain. That's why I'm back in Colorado right now. I was just led back to come there, and I invited 2 of the friends that I had taken to the mountain. One actually drove 4 hours to get down to be with us. They've seen the beings in the mountain too, these golden light beings. So we just did that May 29th, just very recently, and we all saw a line come down from the celestial realms. A very long, very fast line came down all the way through the core of the earth. It was like boom, like I've never seen anything like this. So it was bringing in a whole new energy, and kind of like the division or the split, because I've been tuning into the split a lot lately, like there's a split occurring, more of a definition between everything, and people, it's like you got to make your decision where you're going, because things are getting really ready to be super clear, and realities are changing very quickly. And wherever we are in our thoughts, in our love quotient, how loving we are, is what we're going to be experiencing more and more. And as we know, the planet will return to the garden state no matter what it looks like now. There will be cleansings and this and that, and wherever we are is what we're going to experience. And if we can't shift up with the earth where she is going, then, you know, those of a vibration more of hatred and conflict and all that, they'll be somewhere else, because the earth, she's ascending and we're ascending with her. Ascending, that word sometimes is taken in different ways, but we're all, you know, we have the opportunity to really go higher, faster and faster right now. So,
And we are here, as you said earlier, we're like acupuncture points on the planet. So we, as we raise our vibration, are assisting Gaia as well.
yes,
But we have to make sure that we're really responsible for that.
yes,
Okay.
yes, yeah, do our best. I mean, don't be hard on ourselves, but because it's not easy here, but just do our best to stay in that loving, forgiving of ourselves and others, and staying flexible and fluid, and you know, we can discern and know what's right for ourselves, discernment, not, which is different from judgment where you're saying, oh, you know, and we do see a lot of things going on we don't agree with here, but just knowing it's all a part of the picture and doing what we know is best in that framework, you know. It's all lessons for everybody here. It's like a big sandbox. So, but the more loving we can each be in every minute of our lives and just spread that and get that going, that's the greatest service that we can do, really. And he introduced you and I, and he's getting the word out about the masters and the ships, and oh, he's amazing. So we had met through some mutual friends, and I had been telling him, which leads up to the video you're going to show, I had been sharing with him how Soltec had been coming around again lately, very noticeably. This was 2012 and 13, and oh boy. Well, it kind of relates to what I was going to say, actually. There was some dark energy going on around Sedona when I got back there after some trips out east. Notably very dark, that were some vibes that were really affecting people, and they're feeling like they're going nutty, and people were just acting bizarre. I was up in Cottonwood by Mingus Mountain at that point, across from Sedona, and which is like a portal there too. It's a major portal, and Spirit wanted me to go back there and be there during the 2012-13 crossover to hold the energy there. So this place manifested to live right by the mountain. I had the perfect view of it. It was just gorgeous. And but there were some dark energies going on, and there were 17 towers up there that were driving me nuts too. I'm very sensitive to that kind of thing. And so I'm calling, one night I'm just calling out, laying in bed. My head is like aching from all this, and I'm just praying, everybody, Jesus, Sai Baba, Soltec, please come. And right after I said Soltec's name, boom, this light ship, this big star like light appears right outside my window. And it stays there, and I'm like, I'm upset at this point. I'm mad at them for letting this stuff go on, and so I stayed upset for a little bit, and then I thought, wow, he's really staying here. I've got to be grateful. Turn yourself around, Donna. And he just started really, I could tell he was just pumping so much energy out, and he stayed, I'd say, about 23 minutes, I want to say, and the next day, all the energy had shifted in the whole area over the whole Verde Valley, and it stayed shifted for a couple months, I'd say, and then it started to get weird again in December, and so I said the same prayer again, and he appeared, boom, again with a light ship appearing this time right outside my window, and stayed there, and so I was just so thrilled and excited and blissed out, and it did change the whole energy again. And then, so then right before my birthday, February 10th, on that day, I guess it was that day of my birthday, Frank sends me this video that you'll see here, and he's saying, happy birthday, Donna. Here's a light ship over the Mingus Mountain. He said, this must be Soltec's ship you've been telling me about that Dave Schmidt took a video of. So that's this video. I didn't know who Dave Schmidt was, and I was asking around, and somebody said, well, he's holding a meeting down in the village of Oak Creek with this lady who has the book about Sedona that her husband had channeled through, and she got it published with all these drawings of what the new light city would look like as it came in over Sedona, and same visions I'd been getting back in the 80s when I first moved there about what Sedona and that whole area would become with the new like light city over all of it.
City of light.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Yes.
So here I am. I go to this meeting. I meet the lady finally that wrote that book. Her husband and I were getting the same visions at the same time. They were living in Tucson, and here he starts getting all these visions of Sedona, what it would look like, and he actually, even though he's not an architectural drawer or an artist at all, he has very precise pictures of what these, you know, if you want to call them buildings, structures. I don't know if they're going to be etheric and the physical. It'll probably be etheric physical, but they'll be visible, we'll be in them, like light temples and learning, you know. And I had been shown all the same things by Soltec and the beings, that this would happen over the whole Verity Valley, like in the flash of an eye is what it looked like. It was just going to be there, and we already feel it in the ethers, but it's going to like land in. So Dave Schmidt was held this meeting. He was kind of like directing the meeting. So I got to meet him there, and during the meeting, he asked for people to share experiences, and I spoke up and talked about Soltec and how I'd had the same visions about the area. So we got to know each other, and then he invited me to be on his radio show, like we're doing, and this video is what he was called out to do one night. He was living with some people that were tuned into, some ladies. The one lady felt that something was going to be manifesting, and she told him to go out with his camera and be ready, and there it was, the ship, and it started spinning around, and you know, before we even knew each other. So it was just all these things, synchronicities happening.
It's amazing. When we look at this video, we see this orb of light, and you said earlier it was a light ship. That's what these are. Miriam Delicato, who we've had video with, she, with the naked eye, when we look up in the sky, we can see a twinkling star. Looks like it's turning yellow, green, blue, red. She zoomed in on it, and she saw an orb. It's quite fascinating. And it looks like this ship that we're seeing here in this video.
Beautiful.
So isn't that fascinating that while on one hand you've got humans in a secret space program that are building material ships, physical with metal and things, but there's a higher advanced ship of light.
Yes. And this is what we want people to know about, to be awakened to this instead of just what's in the movies or whatever. We need to get some good movies out with this subject.
Yes.
And like Val Thor, that movie that Craig's working on to educate people about the beings that are here to help us.
Let's talk about Valiant Thor. That is a real story, and many of us, just looking at that photo, can feel something.
Yeah.
What is your insight or intel on Valiant Thor? It's a beautiful story. That's absolutely real as well.
Right, right.
Yeah?
Yeah, I've been feeling his presence for years and almost feel like I'll meet him someday on this planet. It's very, very strong connection, and the story that's come through the book by Frank Stranges and that Craig is making the movie on really needs to get out to the public, because it's a real experience that happened with Val Thor, literally coming in the physical from Venus. It's all been proven and witnessed, and he came to the Pentagon, and he was there, I believe it was 3 years, like 59 to 61, somewhere in there, and was offering our leaders to share technology so that we would have no more illness, there would have to be no war, there would be plenty of prosperity. He was willing to offer all this if the world leaders agreed to use it for peaceful and loving purposes. And a couple of evidently Nixon and Eisenhower were wanting to work with him, but the people behind them that are controlling really what's going on, and still too much, but their power is dissipating. But anyway, they did not want this to happen, and so they actually started like making it difficult for Val Thor to be here and kind of attacking him, so he had to go back. And but their ships are still around, and he has one anchored in Lake Mead, you know, in Las Vegas, and evidently some others anchored around. So we have so much assistance, as we know, if enough of us will wake up and call forth, and it's us that has to shift this. The more we can get together and do group energy like we're talking about, that we can orchestrate this, which we will do more. We need to do it and start singing together. I've got some ideas about that too. Getting everybody on the planet singing it at one time, as many people as we can get, to sing the same song or same tunes or whatever tones at the same time, and whatever they're doing, drop it, just hold hands with whoever's by them, and we get as many people at the same time singing on this planet. It's going to lift everything up.
Wow.
So,
I got chills on that.
Woo,
That
I
is
do too.
beautiful, because we know that if we were all in a state of joy and we're laughing, I felt this the other day. If the
Yes,
whole world
laughing.
laughs,
Yes.
but the Aborigines, they remember their ancestors walking on the planet and singing form into existence.
Ah,
So
yes.
isn't that cool?
Yeah, and we can do that. Let's do it.
We're
Let's
going to have
get
a
that
quantum
together.
conversation with you and bring that forward for our listeners too.
Yes.
And there's already unity meditations every Wednesday that we can tap into at 8:11, 11:11, and 5:11 p.m.
Oh,
every Wednesday Pacific time.
beautiful.
Yes, to connect to the heart, the human heart grid,
Beautiful.
the unified human heart grid.
Yes,
So,
beautiful.
well, Donna Anderson, this has been very special in this special video presentation with you. You are the light worker who listens to your high heart, your higher guidance, beings around you, and you go to places on the planet like other light workers with no realization of how you're going to live there. You're just called to duty, and you follow that call on finances and everything, like so many other light workers. True light worker, we honor you for that.
Thank you, and I just thank all the other light workers everywhere, and thank you for getting the word out and getting people together, and I just thank all of us that are in this heart together. And everybody else that's not aware of this, we invite you in, and you can come through these gates too and walk in the light and love. Everybody can, and more are going through the gates. I've been actually witnessing that. Of more people are really making the transition from very dark places, actually. Some of them are realizing they've really got to turn around, and I've been witnessing this over the last few months, groups of them going through the gates that we hold open with our love, and we make for them to go through. Them, us, we're all, you got to realize we're all in this together. So thank us all, and thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Do we have time to say anything? You know, we see a lot of musicians this year have left. And do you want to comment on that? When you talk about the gateways, this is the gateway, the heart gateway, yeah? Or the soul that's
Yeah.
awakening, so we can go through these gateways still in physical form. Yeah, that's our
Yeah.
journey.
Yeah, and a friend who was meditating a couple of months ago, I had mentioned when I left Arizona, that was a very bad chemtrail day. I was feeling glass going in my eyes, and I just mentioned it. She went and meditated, and she came out and she said, Donna, whenever you feel like you're being attacked, which I didn't go into that, feeling that, but she had to bring this message through that she said, whenever you feel like you're being attacked, just know that they're really coming to you for your love. And right when she said that, this big love outpoured between and all around us to the point of total compassion. I was in tears, she was in tears, and we saw a whole group of beings literally pass through these gates into the higher dimensions that wanted to go from the fear into the love. And these were some of the beings that had been perpetuating these things that were literally passing through the gates. And then I saw it a month later, the same thing, when I was holding this amazing love space with all that is, a whole other crew went through. So, yeah.
The power of love.
Yeah.
An incredible conversation. We'll be back with Donna Anderson in a quantum conversation coming up. But we thank you for shining your magnificent light and staying on purpose, as we've seen Donna stay on purpose in her life and her mission. Send us your stories too if you've got them, and any comments. Donna Anderson, thank you.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Thank you. Namaste.